Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. My name's Katie Fenton. I'm Partner Account Manager for Secunia for UK and Ireland. Also with me, I've got Colin England, Sales Engineer for Foursys, who will be running through the product demonstration today. Okay? Lovely. So, to start off, it's best to go into the background of Secunia. Lovely. So, we are a vulnerability research company. We started off back in 2002 as a vulnerability research team. Now, we've been running now up to present, and the vulnerability research team are still present to date in Copenhagen. Since we've been going since 2002, this means we've got one of the largest databases in regards to vulnerability advisories. So at present, we've got in excess of 53,000 advisories in our database, and that is ever growing. Our research team are actively looking for new vulnerabilities, so disclosing them to vendors. We're verifying and assessing everything that comes through from the vendors from an application perspective, and we also work with white hat hackers. Due to our product database, we have a product which works off the back of this in regards to our advisories, and we can also increase the vulnerability database with the suggest software tool we'll get Colin to point out in the web demonstration. What this allows you to do when you're scanning your network and there's an application which isn't available in our database, you can suggest a software to be included. As we have an in-house research team that are present, we will then, as long as it's commercially available, include this in our database within 72 working hours. So we ensure we're giving the coverage that you need. Third-party patching is something that's ever growing. Now, we realise that Microsoft patching is something that's already quite painstaking to do. You normally use stuff like your WSUS or your SCCM server to be able to update your Microsoft patches. Now, we're seeing a massive gap in regards to the vulnerabilities in our third-party patching. So as a research company, we actually do still disclose vulnerability reviews, yearly and quarterly, and also by region. Now, in 2013, we found that 86% of known advisories were found in non-Microsoft applications. Now, if you're using WSUS and SCCM correctly, at most, in 2013, you're covering yourself to 14% of the known advisories out there. Now, hackers aren't just looking at Microsoft anymore. They're looking at your non-Microsoft. They're looking at the stuff that you use quite on a daily basis, such as your Adobe, your Internet Explorer, Chrome, things like that. But they're also looking at programs that you don't know you have, and you don't have the resource to patch. And this is where we come in. We help you in regards to the third-party patching, as this is something that isn't going away. On average, we disclose 18 vulnerabilities a day, so there isn't enough working hours to be able to remediate all the advisories that we disclose. And we've also seen a 55% increase in regards to vulnerabilities. We actually disclosed 15,500 advisories last year, and we're still on target to exceed that this year in our review. So how do we help in regards to the third-party patching? As we know this is an issue, we know this is something that is something that's on your list to do, and there's also something that's quite a painstakingly task to actually conduct. So this is where we come in. This is where we stand out from the rest. This is what we see and class as a complete patch management solution. So we feel there's 4 key components in regards to patch management. The first part is vulnerability intelligence. This is our database. So you need to know exactly what is out there that's actually vulnerable at this moment in time. You then need to lead on to your vulnerability scanning. So you need to know exactly what you have installed and what's actually vulnerable and what out of the vulnerability database is applicable to you. Now with our CSI solution, this is where our corporate software inspector comes in. Now we scan OCX, EXE and DLL files. We can scan in excess of 23,000 applications, and you've also got the additional suggested software tool to increase that coverage as well. So our CSI solution works off the back of our vulnerability intelligence database. Now once you've known what's vulnerable, and this will actually tell you whether you're insecure, end of life, which is where the vendor no longer supports that product and will no longer disclose a patch to remediate that vulnerability, we will make sure that we give you a solution. So we make sure the version you are running is secure. We don't make you upgrade to the latest version, but we also will suggest if it's end of life to maybe go up to the next secure version. So once you've established what applications you're running, what sizes and what versions and where, You then lead on to the patch creation. So we help you in regards to remediating the vulnerability itself. So as well as the in-house research team, we've also got the patch testing team. So once the vendor has disclosed the patches, we will ensure it remediates the vulnerability itself. We'll run it through 42 anti-malware engines. We will test it against the top 50 applications, such as Internet Explorer, so the top most common applications, make sure there's no downtime. And then what we'll do is remove anything like your adware. So potentially, if you're doing Adobe, you sometimes get Chrome as additional add-on to an upgrade patch. We'll remove that because it's potentially bringing another vulnerability onto your network. So we make sure everything we disclose has been tested and verified by our in-house research team and patch testing team. What we then lead on to is the patch deployment. Now we integrate with Microsoft WSUS and SCCM and also Altiris. Now the reason we do this is we don't want to change what you're currently doing for your Microsoft patching. So what we do is we do a silent install parameter behind your Microsoft updates, and we make sure that you'll be able to schedule the updates through your WSUS and SCCM server. Now we know that you've invested a lot of time and money in regards to actually deploying the WSUS and SCCM server, so we don't want to change that. We want to make it easier for you to cover both your Microsoft and your non-Microsoft estate. Now we'll also in our scan be able to pick up if there's any vulnerable Microsoft applications as well. So we're giving you that extra layer of visibility in regards to your current vulnerability status. So we're giving you the when, the where, the what, and the how. We're telling you what's vulnerable, where you're vulnerable, how vulnerable, and actually helping you remediate from day one. Now, last year, our statistics found that 83% of patches were available on day of release. So with a tool like the CSI solution, which Colin will walk through in a second from the demo console, we're showing you how easy it is to use the console and detect from a network scanning perspective that you can actually get your vulnerability status and produce a report and then schedule your updates. So before I pass on to Colin, I'd like to mention I am in the Foursys office today, so if you do have any questions after the web demonstration, please feel free to give your account manager a call. Alternatively, we are running a roadshow for the next 10 events starting on Monday, so please feel free to pop over to our stand if you'd like to sign up. So I'll pass over to Colin.
Thank you. Right. So I'll jump straight into the Secunia CSI console. So we've got it here. So it's all purely web-based in most instances. We've got the dashboard here, which I'll go through a bit later. So initially, what we do is obviously scan all the devices on our network. So we get all the Windows machines, all the Mac devices, as well as the Linux devices of varying types. We'd actually scan those devices and find out what vulnerabilities actually exist on those devices, as well as a complete list of what actual applications exist on those devices. So it's not just pulling it from add remove programs, it's actually scanning the DLL, OCX, and EXE files. So there's various ways you can do the scanning. So you've got the remote scanning via the CSI console, so you can run it as an administrative user that can do the scanning, and you can actually just do a quick scan in here, and we can actually just put in IP ranges in here, and we can actually click scan at the very bottom there and scan a complete list of devices using those credentials. We've also got a network appliance scan, so we can actually install an agent onto a network area. So again, it can do scheduled scans, very, very similar to this, but obviously it does it with a daemon agent, which then goes through and scans on a schedule of maybe once a week or whatever, and does a scan of those devices. And you can see that in here. We've got one of them with the agent installed, and we can create some groups within here. So if I click a new group, we'll give it a name there. We'll click next. Again, add ranges into here. So if we do 10, 1, 1, 1, 1, I'll do 10, 2, for instance. Click next. Select the appliance agent so that you can do the scanning. We can then schedule the scans. We can say it's a weekly scan, or is it a monthly scan? It's totally up to you within the schedule there. So if we just select weekly there, we start it after 5 o'clock for the servers. We click save. It will then apply the action, and then obviously the next window the devices in that list will be scanned. So it's, yeah, very simple to do that. We also have the agent that can go onto machines. It's a very small agent. It's actually how we're doing it here. This agent actually can be deployed using your integration with WSUS and SCCM, as mentioned earlier. So we can actually just deploy the agent using that, so we don't have any agent to actually physically go around and install. We've got a long list of machines that have actually got the agent installed on them there, and you can actually see some of the information is already pulled from the machine. So we've got my laptop, for instance, here. We can actually see the configuration for the agent. So we've got into various inspection types, so we can scan all paths there. We've got the default path, which is just a very fast scan, but we can also inspect for the various file types, as I mentioned earlier. And we've got check-in frequencies, and again, days between scans, so you can actually have custom policies regards to that. So certain machines can be scanned more often than others. If we go to the completed scans option here, we'll actually see the scans that have actually completed. So if I, again, double click my machine, we're going to get some information with regards to what has been seen on my machine. So we can see obviously the host name and the domain name, etc. there. We can see the last scanned date and time. We can see the scan type. So obviously there's 3 different types, as I mentioned. The number of scans in total have been conducted. We can see my system score, so it's obviously a percentage. We can see right there the system score is obviously made up of all those patched and end-of-life and insecure applications. So I've currently got 1 insecure application, 3 end-of-life, and 125 patched. So if I go to the scan result tab here, we can see a long list of all the applications installed on my machine, and we can actually tab through all the applications. But we can untick boxes in here so we can view the key information to us, so the end-of-life and insecure applications. So at the moment I've got Whiteshark, which is currently insecure, and you can see the date the actual advisory was issued was 53 days ago. It's got 9 vulnerabilities with regards to that. You see the currently insecure version. If we click on the Secunia advisory number there, we've actually got some more information about the attack vectors on there as well. So we can see it's a moderately critical attack. It's got denial of service impact. You can see it's from remote as well, so it's obviously probably a quite important one to patch. We can see it's been vendors patched, so there is actually a patch out there in the wild. The base score from the vendor is 7.8, so they've actually categorized it as pretty high, which is very typical actually of vendors. Obviously they want to cover their own back, so they obviously rate it a little bit higher than it should be. What Secunia will do is actually look at the actual vulnerability itself, try to exploit it, and then have a look at how actually easy it is to apply, and also is it actually going to cause any major impact issues. So we've got just denial of service. Obviously that's denial of service against the Whiteshark application, so it's moderately critical for that exact reason. You can see again it's got the affected software listed there. We've got some more details about the advisory, so we've got issues of actually what can actually happen with regards to the exploits, the latest solution, and obviously who's been discovered by as well there. So it's got a lot of additional information. You can actually go look up further information if required. We've also got patch information. I don't think, mine doesn't report back to WSUS yet, but we can actually see the various patches that are available on machines. We'll be able to see, the Microsoft patches that are available and the patches that have been installed on machines there. So it gives us a long list of all the various machines we can scan. So some of those have been scanned through the agent, and some of them actually been just remotely scanned using the network agent. So you can use very methods, whichever one fits with your network, particular network area. You can combine all of that information in, and obviously you see what you see there. Results. So we can just click all hosts here. We can actually connect it up to Active Directory, so we can then browse through our AD structure, and again we can see the various system scores. And if we want to drill down to more information, I can click on and have a look a bit more information about those machines in that particular area. I'll click on technical, for instance. There's all technical machines and their various system scores. And again, I can double click on those and see further information about the vulnerabilities that currently exist on there. We're going to overview and configuration. we can create smart groups. These are really, really quick and easy to make, but they're very, very powerful. So we can create a host group, smart groups. We can have like certain system platforms, perhaps, or we can have operating systems. So it could be anything that's server related. We can have a long list of those. We could go. The operating system is in. We've got Server 2012 in-house, so we can say Server 2012, and we can just say we're looking for the servers in that instance, and we can get a quick view of all the servers on our network and what the system scores are. Click Save, and that will then queue that for compilation, and eventually that will complete. It will take a few seconds, and that will be complete. So it's already pulled information there. We can see all the servers it's picked up, and again all the system scores. So it's very easy and quick and easy to create that. That's from the host perspective. We can look from the product perspective as well. So again, I can go into here, create smart groups, and again we've got a different set of criteria we can create. So we could say the product name is perhaps say Adobe. Let's say Adobe Reader. Everyone's favorite. Click that one. Yep. And let's say Adobe Reader and is insecure. Okay. And we'll just give it a name. Adobe Reader. Again, that's going to go through and create that smart group. I've created one earlier, so I've actually created one for technical staff that've got highly critical patches, and I've actually just drilled down here, and we can see the highly critical patches that are available, and we can actually see the more information about them. If we click on the SA number, again we can see more information about that particular patch. We can also see we've got 3 affected hosts, and we can actually go there and download the link there to download the package. If we have a look at the Adobe Reader, we've got one instance of it there. It's Adobe Reader 11 in that case, and we can see again we've got some criticality, and we've got 10 affected hosts in that particular smart group. Finally, we've got advisories. So this is wherever, again, it's criticality levels, and we've got impact types. We can also look at particular attack vectors. So it could be from a remote, which is obviously very dangerous if they can attach essentially escalate privileges or something like that from a remote attack vector. And we can actually set, as with all of these, we can actually set the business impact for this particular smart group. So we can have it as a critical business impact, this particular smart group, if it's perhaps servers that have got remote attack vectors available on those. Then we'd have that report back in, we could have an email go out or something like that, or even a text message to select users to say, we've picked up these vulnerabilities on these servers, for instance. So we select it's high, and we say it's from remote. Advisory published, or we can say solution status is vendor patched. Just call it test. Click save. It's going to create that smart group. Again, it's going to queue that, and we'll get the information. But I've also created one earlier again for remote attack vectors. So anything that's going to be attempted to be attacked from remote. So we've got quite a few here. We've got some Flash, we've got Camtasia Studio, we've got all kinds of applications out there that we could potentially attack from remote, and we've got the impact as well listed there, which is very handy because we can see it quickly and obviously look to prioritize what we want to look at. We can also modify that again, and we could say, we could go back in here and modify that again to say we want to look for ones that are highly critical as well. We could say in here, criticality at least, extremely critical. Click save again, and it's going to queue that again, and obviously that will recompile. Once it's recompiled, we'll get a few less in there, but we'll have the extremely critical vulnerabilities that are out there.
I think the great thing about smart groups is what we're trying to do is, and as Colin mentioned around the alerting, It's making sure you're not spending all of your time in the console. So you want to be spending time on what's important to you, so you can then have a look in regards to your alerting on your phone or emails to then log back into the CSI console. Now this is quite strong in regards to compliance, so if there's anybody on this call that needs to be PCI compliant, so for example, anything that's CVSS score of 4.0 upwards, which falls into our moderately critical category, has to be 30 days. Now we have a pre-built template in the smart groups itself where you can next finish and have that smart group set up as easy as Colin's just shown you then. So it's really good from an auditing perspective because there's reporting around the smart groups. We can also set one around PSN, so the public sector network compliance as well. You have to have a tool in place for patch management, so you can do something around the smart groups to ensure that you are going in there and using the tool in the best of its ability instead of sitting on the console 24/7.
Right, so we're now moving into the reporting. So as mentioned, you can do the smart groups can actually be set up to do notifications, so we can configure a new notification, for instance. We can give it obviously a name, so we can do that Adobe Reader instance, as I showed you earlier. We can select a smart group. So we've got a long list of here, so we could do, perhaps we do the techies with highly critical patches. So we do techies with highly critical patches. Excuse the spelling. And we can actually set the recipients, so I can set myself to receive any alerts with regards to that. We can also add SMS recipients as well, so we'll obviously be notified as soon as, based on these conditions here. So we can have if the number of installations increases, we can let us know daily, weekly, hourly, even monthly. We can have a weekly report sent to us to say that the number of installations of these highly critical packages is actually being increased. So you can see that we're going to be very, very powerful. You can obviously customize the heart's content with the specs. Obviously, it's all based on smart groups. So smart groups are very, very granular in that way. So you can actually create quite granular notifications. So it could be a group of machines or particular patches, for instance. Okay. So patching is another large section in here. So we've actually got the agent deployment here, so we can actually just go here, we can actually create the CSI package, and that will allow us to automatically deploy it to WSUS. So if I just click the create package, it allows us to go through and customize the package if we wanted to. It's got a package name that will appear when they go to do Windows updates, and we can also customize all these bits in here, so we can actually edit the package content if we wanted to. We can change the name of the product within SCCM. We've got the execution script, so we can actually go into this level and choose the way it executes the package. So it can be VB script, JavaScript, or PowerShell, and obviously then you can go and then customize that should you want to. You can obviously add your own variables and bits like that if you wanted to. You've got the files to include, so we can add our own local files if we wanted to, and we can also create an SPS file, which allows us to get a large exe file, which basically comes out with all the customizations we may have made, and we're allowed to just run it on a machine to test. Obviously, Secunia will do a lot of the testing for you, but it's always recommended you to do a few machines and make sure the package runs as you expect it to. So you can create an SPS file, and then you can just run that locally and make sure the installation goes as you expect. So, and we can also add applicability criteria. We can set minimum versions. So a good example of the minimum version option would be with something like Adobe Flash or Adobe Reader again. Perhaps the machine's a few versions out. What Secunia can do is actually uninstall the really old version of Adobe Reader, perhaps a version 6, get it uninstalled and install the new version. So by setting the minimum version at 6, for instance, we'll pick up all the machines that have got that version on there as well. And finally, we've got some applicability. So we've got 32-bit and 64-bit if we wanted to. We can set a reboot if it's required. We can set particular language settings, and we can also export the package. We've got the publishing option, so we can publish to WSUS if we wanted to, or Foursys, or we can just do a file system export, and we can obviously get the package and run that manually, or use our own deploy method if we wanted to. If I ticked WSUS there and click publish, it would actually publish it automatically to our WSUS server, and then we can actually go in within here. We've got the WSUS section over on the left-hand side here, and it would be an available package, and we can then approve that package within there. If I click on the Secunia packaging system, it's going to show us all the packages that we've got updates for that Secunia actually hold the packages for, and obviously we've gone through and actually pre-approved these packages. So you can see there's quite a large list of ones that we actually can patch automatically, and obviously the fact we can go through this and quite simply make a package for it and deploy it through WSUS is going to make our lives a hell of a lot easier. So, for instance, we've got product pigeon we use for instant messaging. We can right-click that package. We can create an uninstall package. We can create a totally custom package if we wanted to, or we can just update the current version out there. Click update package. We've got all the same prompts. You'll see that with all the packages, you're going to get the very similar wizard. So you're not going to be seeing a completely new load of settings every single time. It's all going to be very familiar to you once you've done it once. What they also do is if you've run through this package, the exact same package before, perhaps it's Adobe Flash. Obviously, the updates are almost daily nowadays. It will remember the settings you've set before, so it will have the various tick boxes you may have made, and actually remember those settings and keep those for you. Actually, what I'll do is come out of this, and we'll go into an Adobe Flash one because it's got a few more options available too. So yeah, we've got package configuration. We can actually go through. Obviously, again, we can modify the package name. We've got all the very similar options as before. But just literally, we can, if we wanted to, set the minimum version information again there. But we can just do next and just publish, and that would be a perfectly applicable package made in literally seconds. That would be published to WSUS. You just approve that on the machines you want to approve it on. You approve it on a few machines for a test in the first case, and approve it to your whole network later. And you've got it out of there on your network in seconds. It's really quick. So the configuration, you can go in here. I mean, this is actually where you would do the configuration to connect up to WSUS. Again, that's going to do a lot of it for you. So we can actually connect to WSUS. It'll create all the certificates for you because obviously it's got to be trusted to deploy third parties, and it'll also do the group policy as well for you. So a lot of it is all automated for you, and there's not a lot of hands-on work you need to really do with this. It's really good and really simple. So one of the key bits here is the actual suggest software option. So we can actually go in here. We can actually suggest additional packages that perhaps Secunia aren't currently scanning. We can actually upload the XE or DLL and browse for that. Put the name, the URL, and description, and that will suggest it to Secunia. They will then get in touch with the vendor, and obviously, depending on the vendor, obviously we can then get a view of the updates that are required on there. Finally, the dashboard. This is a very good way of seeing everything that's like a live view of what's going on. So we can see current average system score, which has actually gone up, which is always a good sign. We've got a number of packages. We've got loads of 107 insecure applications at the moment. That's out of a total of 3,000 applications across our network. Still the various operating systems, and currently all have been patched, which is always a good sign. You can see the most prevalent insecure applications. We can look at our smart groups created earlier. So I could go to that, the techies one, and again we can get a live view of that as well. We've got the criticality over 5 weeks. We're going to look at a trend graph over time to see our products are getting on. So how many extremely critical vulnerabilities have been picked up. We can see at the moment it's sort of sat at 5 at the moment. You can see the highly critical there. The trend's gone slightly up, and we can see as our Active Directory structure displayed in here. We can see all the insecure software installations, and we can see again the scores of those machines. We can see how many are patched, how many are currently vulnerable, and how many are insecure and end of life there. and we've got the average system score on the left-hand side there. What we can do, yeah, I've added loads of various bits and pieces. That's what I find useful. But you can actually go in here, and there's loads of elements to select from to actually add into a dashboard. And you can have multiple dashboards, so you can have one for a particular area of the network and another one for another. And it's just by adding another profile. So we can save that and save it as another profile if we wanted to, and we'd have multiple profiles to look at. What the reporting does is really clever, is actually can put it in a live snapshot of that dashboard. So maybe the people that don't necessarily have access to the software inspector could see a live view of what it was when the report was run, which obviously is a good thing. I'll go back into reporting. We can then create a quick report. So I think I've just generated, I've just run it this morning. So if I click download, we can see an example of what the reports look like. This is, I think, a fairly large one I've created. But we can, if we click generate new report, I'll show you sort of the options around here. So we've got, so if I go to the formats, we've got PDF and CSV. So obviously CSV is very good for, we can actually use that to then report further that into another solution or something like that if we wanted to. We've got PDF, which is nice and easy to read, obviously, nice and generic there. Report generation schedule, we can do a one-time report, or we can do a recurring one. And again, we can configure that and say how often it wants to run and when the first generation date is. We've got the executive summary report. That gives a general overview of the vulnerability and patch management today, the security system state of your vulnerabilities. We can also pull out the dashboard, as I mentioned earlier. So we can select the default profile there. We'll put that into the report. We can at the site level, so we can actually say particular areas of the network we're going to report on. We can configure sites. We can actually select from here. I can say again, we'll select the two technical sites perhaps. And we can also include all the statistics. We've got overall summaries, we've got impact scores, attack vectors. We can particularly attack vectors perhaps. And we've got host level statistics, and we can say, the servers I created earlier as the hosts, or I can just select the full hosts there. And we can look at, again, end of life patched and insecure applications. So if we select in insecure and we select extremely critical above, it's going to just report from those. And then from the product perspective, we've got those packages of highly criticals. And again, it's automatically going to filter that out, but we can actually go and filter it again if we want to do a double filter. And then we've got the options there to email recipients. So we can set who's going to receive those emails. In general, we can set the report file name and report title. Click save, then going to set the schedule up. If we had it on run all now, we can obviously set it to run straight away. You can just right-click the report and generate a report now, and it's going to give you a live report. You can go and click the download link there to view that. I've done it is I've created the biggest report you can create, I think. So we've got loads of information here. It's just to go through, really, just to show you it's going to report on everything if you want it to. There's so much information in the Secunia database. It's so good. But some of the key things in here, it's going to show you the criticality rating of your various insecure products. So we can see we've got extremely critical 6% of our entire estate, which isn't too bad. But obviously, we've got quite a lot of highly critical applications out there. There's our dashboard, and you can see there's a live snapshot of our dashboard. This can be very handy again for people that perhaps don't look at the Secunia console all the time. You've got a live snapshot of what it's looking at right now, which is very good. So we've got the site level reporting, we've got the summaries, as I mentioned earlier. But you can see, we've got so much information here. I could go on probably forever talking about all the bits of information in there. But we can see overall impacts. So we can see, the brute force, hijacking, etc. All that information about insecure application across your site. You've got a very quick report that gives you all that information. It's very, very useful information, and you can go back into the Secunia console and then go and then patch those vulnerabilities within seconds. So it's very, very good. I think that's all within the Secunia console. I'm quite happy to now take questions or see if there's any questions at all. Please don't hesitate to just ask questions within the package here. So we've got the first question here. Can a local agent on PC be used for mobile workers over the internet? Yes, the solution is actually cloud-based. So as long as they got an internet connection, and it all works through SSL, so it's just for free. So as long as you have access to that, we'll absolutely get all the information on the mobile workers. So we've got another question as well. So can smart groups be created with wildcards? So for instance, Adobe Reader Star that happens to identify each reader software version. Yes, I believe so. You can as well reports with wildcards, etc. to obviously grab further applications in that smart group.
Yeah, so we've had a question about how is the pricing structure for CSI set up? Is it subscription based and is it per user? So the CSI is priced on a host basis and is in bundles of 50. So it's what you're wanting to include in the scan, whether that's desktops, servers, laptops. We don't differentiate. And it's a subscription-based model, so 1 and 3 year options. And the subscription includes support and maintenance, and also any future minor or major upgrades. So say, for example, recently we've got up to a different version of CSI 7, I think we're on 7.3. We offer the upgrade free of charge, so you'll receive an email saying, would you like to take advantage of this, or as soon as it comes end of life.
Okay, we're just waiting for any other questions. Obviously, please send us a message if you need any questions asked. Obviously, afterwards you can obviously drop Foursys a line, and we won't hesitate to answer any questions as well.
I mean, the great thing around the CSI solution from a trial perspective, this is available to be able to try on maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 devices, so split between servers, desktops, laptops, have a walk through the solution and see it from a scan and a remediation perspective. But you can also have the reporting available there in the trial too. So as Colin showed, you can do the full in-depth, or you could do an executive summary report. So that is dynamic to your scan results, and you can use as a business case to present to the board to say, this is how exactly we are currently scoring, and this is on a 5-year trend based on Secunia's vulnerability research, and then this is the ROI. So you can use that as a simple 3 to 5 click, next, publish, and then print that off. And it's the same with from the auditors as well, from the PCI side, is you literally just print it off and present to the auditors.
We do have another question, so it's about SCCM updates. So WSUS and SCCM are very, very similar. So you basically set up a connection. So you run the Internet Explorer browser as the user that would be used to connect to SCCM or WSUS. And that basically facilitates the connection. So you basically put in the details of the host name of the SCCM server, hit connect. It does all the connecting bits for you. And then basically it's a very similar process of obviously getting these certificates out for SCCM to deploy third-party packages, and obviously the group policy as well. So it is a fairly straightforward process to get SCCM integrated as well. You can utilize with SCCM, rather than utilizing the generic the Secunia scanning, you can use the SCCM inventory scan, which some people already use, and we just go in there and customize it slightly. So it is scanning for the OCX files, the DLL files, and the XE files, and making sure you get the full picture of all the applications installed. And then what Secunia will do is tie in with that inventory scan report and pull out that information. And obviously, again, you're going to get the very similar scanning results there, just from an SCCM perspective.
And if you're running System Center 2012, there is a plugin available. So what this allows you to do from the 2012 perspective is see and manage the scan results within your System Center server. So it's something that Microsoft actually use in their Microsoft training centers. So are currently using it in Reading. It took them an hour and a half to get it up and running and deploying a patch. And they manage everything within the System Center 2012 server.
Yeah, so we've got another question here from Brendan there. So we've got, can you scan servers in a DMZ that would have internet access? Again, as long as it's got internet access, absolutely fine. The solution will be quite happy to scan those devices. We can obviously either push an agent onto those devices, or if we've got access to scan those devices remotely, we can quite happily do that from a machine on the network. So SCCM SP2, yeah, that's supported currently, yeah. Okay, just wait for some further questions. Thank you for attending this session. We'll give it a couple more minutes.
If you do feel after this demonstration you have some further questions, as mentioned, we're in the office today, so please feel free to call in and we can answer. Cause nothing worse when you leave the demonstration think you wish you asked for that.
Yeah, we've got another question. Is it all cloud-based or will it have its own database on-premise? And if so, what version of SQL will it run on? Yeah, it is all cloud-based. So we would, yeah, so it's all cloud-based. There's nothing really to run on site, which is obviously a good thing. So there's nothing to go through and update and all that as well.
So you can have the cloud. Everything, as Colin mentioned, is SSL encrypted, and it's metadata that's being scanned. There is, with certain caveats, an on-premise version if there's a strictly no cloud policy, but people tend to like the cloud-based version because all you need is Internet Explorer and an internet connection and Microsoft environment. So because it's only metadata and there's a security policy around it, people tend to be quite comfortable with the cloud-based version.
Right, yeah. If there's no more further questions, I think I'll end it here. Thank you very much for attending, and thank you